The Priestess. A powerful late-game enemy first encountered in the third episode, specifically starting in the Iron Cathedral level. Despite the name, they don't look like traditional clergy at all. Instead, they resemble armored knights wearing tall spiked helmets, red sashes, chainmail, all while carrying flaming broadswords as they eerily float above the ground. When they detect the player, they emit a loud metallic screech and charge aggressively, dealing devastating melee damage, while also boasting a large health pool, making them one tough enemy. Their main weakness, like most things that move, are high-powered weapons like rifles, mortars, or shotguns, while a well-connected sword thrust is an instant kill. Keeping distance is critical since their threat comes entirely from close-range sword attacks. Something worth mentioning is in even later levels when encountered by water, these priestesses are not very good swimmers. Visually and behaviorally, these enemies don't really give off the dutiful daily life filled with love and compassion vibe, and it's not too hard to believe they would say something along the lines of, as far as their inspiration, as I really couldn't find much written about it, are probably the visual similarities that they share with the Nazgul from Lord of the Rings and their compassionate leader, Sauron, particularly their helmets. The Cart Dog. Combining two of man's best friends, dogs in war, also first appearing in the Iron Cathedral, these dismembered pups have their torsos strapped to a battering ram-like wooden frame along with their stump legs tied to the wheels of said frame. Their ferocious appearance only remedied by their red eyes and peaceful demeanor, these enemies slowly roll around the level looking for the intruder. Once spotted, they will growl and charge towards Dusk Dude frighteningly fast, dealing huge amounts of damage, so dodging is essential. Best dealt with long-range weapons like the hunting rifle, crossbow, riveter, and mortar. Keeping your distance and strafing while shooting is generally the safest bet, as they don't really aggro from afar. Their similarities to battering rams, hence the war reference, is almost uncanny, and if medieval Europeans had trained cart dogs instead of real dogs, castle gates wouldn't have needed actual battering rams. Just a pack of these limbless, rolling hounds screaming down the field would have been enough to knock down fortifications, and probably terrify every knight within earshot. I can already hear medieval engineers thinking, we should have just made wagons with faces. The Bone Monk. A floating skeletal enemy encountered throughout episode 3, it appears as a horned skeleton wrapped in torn dark blue robes, flying silently instead of levitating, which immediately sets it apart from most other levitating enemies. Unlike melee-focused threats, the Bone Monk attacks from range by launching fast fireballs that can cause high damage to the player. Despite their intimidating presence and aggressive ranged attacks, they have relatively low durability compared to beefier enemies, meaning precise rifle shots or a well-placed burst from stronger weapons can eliminate them before they become a real problem. Bone Monks behave more like artillery than traditional enemies, hanging back and bombarding the player while other threats close in. Their ability to fly gives them a tactical advantage, allowing them to attack over obstacles and from awkward angles, making them especially dangerous when encountered in groups or combined with tougher, ground-based enemies. They will often stay far away from the player, high in the sky, so good accuracy is recommended to deal with this nuisance. These monks have the energy of somebody who just learned one spell and refuses to use anything else. Dusk Dude, Fireball. Problem solved? Fireball. Stub their toe? Fireball. At this point, they're less like monks and more like angry skeletons who discovered the wizard class in Dungeons & Dragons.
Horror!
First seen in the level Crypt of the Flesh, the Horror is a tall red humanoid creature with hollow eye sockets, spindly limbs, webbed extremities, and an absurdly oversized mouth, giving even Domo a run for his money. These enemies have a high health pool, giving them a lot of defense, although two well-placed shots from the super shotgun will rightfully turn it into a red mist. Their behavior consists of charging the Dusk Dude once seen, all the while wildly flailing their arms to overstimulate the player. prior to even seeing them, you will hear them, as these mouth breathers don't know how to inhale through their noses. When spotted, they loudly gasp, letting you know they're coming directly for you, and also as a reminder to check your pants. They spit green projectiles at the player, giving more credence to the lore that they may have some relevance to the Dusk Dude's fear of frogs. This spit attack loses damage done to the player, however, the further away it is, so staying away is recommended. When is it not? If killed and not jibbed, they will violently curl up into a ball and emit a horrifying sound of bones breaking and snapping, a somewhat brutal rigor mortis. In the first level they're encountered, a voice line from Jacob can be heard.
The closer they got, the more they suffered.
Which may imply that these poor souls were other intruders who had a bad day and an even worse eternity. The horror shares some similarities to SCP-096 in both looks and behavior, as both are emaciated and deformed figures that relentlessly charge at their targets. A horror actually makes a cameo in another New Blood title, Faith, the Unholy Trinity, where Jacob, the leader of the cult, gifted Gary, the leader in Faith, a horror as a pet that the latter used to guard his personal quarters from intruders. Thankfully, the pixel graphics of said game make it significantly less scary. Maybe not. I gotta go to the bathroom. The Bone Ball. The last regular enemy encountered in the game, these enigmatic enemies appear as hard, bony spheres with several spikes sticking out of them. They are covered with red holes that it uses to attack with, all while flying above the ground, similar to bone monks. If by this point of the game you still think the cult is demonic in any form, this enemy may make you rethink that, as they are more cosmic Lovecraftian in design than anything relating to a religious demon. Their attack patterns are fairly easy to anticipate, as when they spot the player they will spin rapidly and expel skulls trailed by blood from said holes, with the size of skulls increasing the more it's hit, in which case you've just angered the world's worst Beyblade. Although a wave of projectiles such as this would seem hard to dodge, they really aren't. That is, unless you're in an enclosed space, which can be seriously dangerous for your health. Bone balls have high health and can take many shots from weaker weapons to kill, so using the hunting rifle, mortar, or riveter is recommended. Seeing as how they fly, they can be a little difficult to aim at, so the mortar is really only useful if they're close enough, or you have good aim. Some inspiration for their design and behavior can be attributed to the pain elementals first found in Doom 2.